Hello everyone, I just wanted to do a flip through of my latest book. It's a Florence Nightingale themed junk journal that I've made. On the side I have little medicine bottles because she did carry her own small medicine chest with her, which was very typical of the wealthy people back then. They would have their own stuff. And all this fabric instead of ribbon and lace, I'm using stuff from the first aid kit that we had. And it's all fabrics and stuff that would have been used to attend like the soldiers at the war, the Crimean War that she's so famous for. On the front cover, we have a digitally made marbled paper. The style is called Florence, so I thought it was perfect for this book. The book plate has a picture that was done by painting that was done by Currier and Ives, and it's her home, Lea Hurst, in it. And at the top here we have gauze, and at the bottom. And the side here, that I've clipped it shut, and this is a pocket watch because she didn't have the typical little lady's watch. She used her father's gold pocket watch. Inside here we have 3 train tickets that you can write on the back. She took the train a lot from London to her childhood homes and to visit family. This is one of the graphs that she is most famous for. It's from the death toll that they had in causes of death at the war, in the Crimean War, which really changed how they run military hospitals, because it showed that more people died in the hospital than at the front. And so there a lot of changes had to be made to the way they did hospitalization during the war. Book plate. These are poems written by Richard Monckton Mills Ho, who she courted for 7 years. In the end, when he asked her to marry him, she did say no, and she did write in some of her journals that she wondered if that was the right thing to do. And I think she was conflicted, because if she got married, she wouldn't be able to do what she felt was her calling, to be a nurse. And here, and there'll be stamps, from digital stamps and stuff throughout, that she had a very strong interest in anatomy and how things worked. There are little things from a vintage first aid book, vintage ledger, and here is the owl with a little charm. And this owl she found when she was young, and it was being hurt, and she took it home and she nursed it back to health. Now the poor owl died, probably have a broken heart, while she was at the Crimean War front. And so when the owl died, her sister had the owl preserved and also wrote a book about the owl. And there's a couple of pages in here from that book that she wrote, and lots of pages to write little notes in. And then, a page on fractures, and a book page, more stamps. These are vintage stamps, authentic stamps, ledger. And here's a picture of Richard Monckton Mills Houghton. I would think that she would have carried a picture of him for a while with her. And prescriptions. And here's another little tuck spot I made here. Some more tags in it that you can write on. And here's the definition of nurse from a vintage book, dictionary. And she was a prolific writer, so hence the pen. More graph paper, more stamps and prescription. First aid book. Flip out, we can tuck something. And another tuck spot. This is Scutari. This was the hospital that at the Crimean War that she served in. And a map of the area where the war was on. And then her initial there that I did. And this is a letter that was written by one of the officers at Scutari. Now, Scutari, they really did not want her and her 38 nurses there. The doctors didn't want women around. You know, it was bad enough they had some of the wives, some of the soldiers, you know, and, you know, they just felt that women were more of an interference, and they wouldn't allow the Miss Nightingale and her nurses to help with any of the patients. So, but they also were quite aware that she had a lot of connections. A friend of hers was the Secretary of War, and so they were kind of stuck with her, but they weren't too happy about it. So this is a turtle that a box turtle, and they would have had. She had a pet. Well, her and the nurses had a pet box turtle at Scutari. And then another tuck spot up here, and tags to write on, and the definition of nurture. This is another home. This is Emily, childhood home. Her parents had a few properties, and more stuff from the first aid book. There's a picture of Florence, another tag, a checklist, old tracing paper. And Florence spoke many languages, so she did appeal, and she traveled, like she went to Germany to learn nursing as well. So this is an ode to the German nursing that she did, and something written in German. And this is the lamp, and there's an interesting story behind the lamp. I did this tracing of it. And the reason she became known as the Lady of the Lamp was, as I said before, they didn't want her there. So the only time that Florence could go and attend any of the injured men was at night after the officers had left. So she would go around with a lamp in the wards and, you know, tend to their wounds, change their dressing if she could. It was filthy in there. There was lots of vermin. It was very, very gross, and that's why most of the soldiers would die there, was because it wasn't due to their injuries. It was just due to the conditions of the hospital. And she tried her best to, and her nurses tried to clean everything up. And then after a while, they finally did realize that they were helpful, and they let them clean. And that's when they saw a change in the overall health of the soldiers that were coming there. So another tag, and her first book, Notes on Nursing, pen nib and cameo. And then this, in this little portfolio, we have some other things. And this is a tag and a key. While she was in the Crimean War, there's a fund started to raise money so that when she came back, she could start a nursing school. And that nursing school was St. Thomas's, and it was located at Westminster Bridge Road, South Bank, London. So the key is homage to her getting that building and being able to teach nursing. She was actually better, they say, not as a nurse, but more as a person to organize and to teach than she was at actual nursing. So inside here's a letter, and there's some more tags to write on. Now, she had a very strong fascination with the wounds and the wounded, and she liked being in the surgeries, but the doctors didn't like her being in the surgeries. She did have some pages from books of wounds and how to treat them and stuff. So this, it's a little gross, but she would have had stuff like this. And so I put this in this envelope I made, and it's there. And if you decide you don't really want it, you can just toss it. But if you want something interesting about her, it's there. Well, thank you for watching my video, and I hope you enjoyed this. Have a good day. Take care. Bye.